99-cent rental.
This is 99 Cent Rental. I'm your host, Brian White, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Dave White. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Happy anniversary.
Happy Merry.
99-cent rental.
Yeah, 1 year, 99 Cent Rental.
Yeah, I sent Michael out to buy this specific little noise-making horn. I couldn't even remember what it's called. That's
just a party noisemaker.
Yeah. And he found it.
My God, he is the most put-upon producer.
Well, it really is. You should a pretty put-upon boyfriend at the same time. Yeah, 1 year. We got any big takeaways from 1 year of this show?
Yeah, and this might, you know, if you're a Bring Me the Axe listener, this might surprise you. I think our best episodes are on this show.
I would agree.
My personal favorites are all on here. Like our Delivery Boys episode could be a real rough listen, but I think it's really fucking funny. The Bronx Warriors episode that we started the whole thing off, like the impetus for this entire project is really fucking funny. Our Sunset Boulevard episode was like my favorite episode to write, period.
I was going to ask you, what's your favorite episode?
Yeah. So the Sunset Boulevard one, which is too bad because it's like our least listened to episode of the 99 Cent.
Goddamn shame.
Actually, no, it's not. It's not. Rad is, but also I think the Rad episode is really good too. You'd be doing yourself a favor by listening to it, but it's one of the least listened to episodes, probably because we were sort of challenged to look at it through a certain lens, and we just could not fucking help ourselves and just be like, here's all the goddamn details about this movie. But still,
it's a well-documented movie.
Yeah. And we really got into the weeds, but I think it's probably our most interesting, and it was just one that I thought was the most fun to produce and write.
Yeah, I'm gonna say my biggest takeaway: it's really fucking hard to talk about comedy, especially bad comedy.
I know. There are times when I'm being critical of comedy where I'm like, shit, like who the fuck am I to say what's funny?
Yeah. And it's just like, what do you do? Like describe a joke to people?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, why we don't do a lot of comedy.
Yeah. Yep. But no, it's been a fun year, and we've got another year lined up. And that, I think our schedule for the entire year is already packed up. So.
Yep. Yeah. And it's got a lot of trash on it.
Oh man, we are gonna have some good times this year. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We've got some fucking weird, crazy shit to show you.
Yeah, you jumped in there with those ones. You really piled them on.
Yeah, I did. Which
is fine. I'm always just like, I don't know. Here's a movie from 1962. You want to talk about it?
Here's a movie from 1981. Like to hear about it? Here it goes.
Seriously.
Unsurprisingly, here's a movie from 1981.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, but this is gonna be a fun one. And I like what you did there with this one. Like this is the this is the mother of all cult movies.
And you know the weird thing about this movie is it actually isn't really a cult movie. You take away Faye Dunaway's performance, this is just a movie.
Here's the thing, we'll talk about it because I actually find this movie exhausting to watch, and there's a certain point in it where I am sorry, I just kind of check out for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it's the back third of the movie.
Essentially. Like once we start dealing with teenage Christina, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah. But yeah. Let's do the preamble.
Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to explain to someone who never had the experience what a trip to the video store was like back in the day. The shelves were choked with absolutely bizarre crap made on tiny budgets, completely divorced from any recognizable reality, and it was the best. We intend to talk about every one of them. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod. Dave's over there at That Queer Wolf. Follow us. Give us a follow. You do that Instagram thing, follow us.
Yep.
You know?
I mostly just post shit that's like about art and horror movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, but it's worthwhile. Plus, we got the memes in our story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm also on TikTok if you do that sort of thing, doing the moonwalk.
He's out there just popping and locking until the stars go cold.
Doing the robot.
Mm-hmm.
Just keeping it real simple with this one. Yeah, look us up by name over there. And if you don't know, we have another show called Bring Me the Axe. Our latest episode is our 2024 year-end rundown of horror. The best, the worst, and the okayest. And we'll be back next week with a look at The Changeling.
Yeah.
A very compelling haunted house movie. One of the best, I would say. Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Get you some George C. Scott.
Oh,
George C. Scott. Got time for George C. Scott.
75-year-old George C. Scott playing the father of a 6-year-old girl for some reason. Very convincing stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Although I always kind of like looking back on George C. Scott's career, he always seemed to be 75 years old.
Yeah. He was always like 100 years.
Yeah. You can also contact us directly at 99centrentalpod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a cheesy movie that you love. Would like to hear us give it the business. If you would like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod. Do you think I'm spooky? We've also got our monthly Millennium series of Bring Me the Axe, where we look at modern horror movies instead of, our usual sort of treasure trove of classics and sort of off the beaten path shit from the 80s. There's also my bi-weekly DJ show, Radio Free Haddonfield. On the weeks when Do You Think I'm Spooky is off, you can expect a surprising mixtape of everything from rock to disco to punk over there. Now, once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod.
Yeah, give us your dollars.
You know you want to. You know you love us. Who else are you going to give your money to?
Yeah.
Netflix? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
We've also got merch now. You can get t-shirts, hoodies, that sort of thing. Check the show notes for the link. Bye.
Give us more of your dollars.
Yeah, of course. Lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube now. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So do it.
I mean, just look, if you're not going to give us your dollars, at least give us your goodwill.
True. Help us grow. It takes a second. It's real easy. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor. Give the episode a like. Leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. So we get that all out of the way right at the top of the show, because Jesus fucking Christ, get comfortable. This trailer is like 5 minutes long.
This 9-hour trailer. It's longer than the fucking movie itself.
Here we go.
Ready for you, Miss Crawford.
To a truly great lady, Miss Joan Crawford.
You know what's missing in my life?
Come on, you've got everything you want.
No, I don't. I want a baby.
Out of the question.
Don't you dare judge me.
We have a moral and legal responsibility. And
what you're really doing is denying one of your children the opportunity to live a wonderful and advantaged life.
You're a lucky little girl, and very expensive. You cost me a lot of favors.
Christina, darling, I'm gonna make a perfect life for you. Are you having a happy birthday, Christina, darling?
This is the best party I ever had. I love you, Mommie Dearest.
I love you, Tina, darling. You lost again.
It's not fair. You're bigger than I am.
But nobody ever said that life was fair, Tina. I will always beat you.
Then I'm not going to play with you anymore. Ever.
I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to march yourself upstairs to your room and will stay there.
No, I won't.
Yes, you will.
Sorry, Mommy. Dearest.
You are not getting up from this table until you have finished that meat.
Have I ever lied to you in your whole career? Or given you one piece of bad advice?
Your treatment of me has been divine.
Good. I want you to leave Metro.
My wonderful fans.
Leave Metro.
Your pictures, one after another, are losing money.
Who have made me a star.
Theater owners voted you box office poison.
Making fun of me?
Mommy, please! Mommy, please!
You spoiled it! You spoiled it just like I spoiled you! Mayor should know the price I pay.
truth is, you're getting old.
You're nothing but a rotten, crooked lawyer. The biggest female star he's got. Look at this floor. Do you think it's clean? Look at the cleanest floor. You and me together. Screw up. Look at that. Nothing is clean. It's all blended up. What's wire hangers doing in this closet when I told you no wire hangers ever? $300 dress on a wire hanger. We'll see how many you've got in here. We're gonna see how many wire hangers you've got in your closet. Tell me what?
Yes, Mommie Dearest.
When I asked you to call me that, I wanted you to mean it.
Joan Crawford, the most dramatic role of her life, was her life. Frank Yablans presents Faye Dunaway as Joan Crawford in Mommie Dearest.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Get ready for impressions.
Whew. Oh man.
What a fucking movie. This movie is such an endeavor. It is so exhausting to watch.
You know, if you watch this movie, like if you just come at this cold, like you know nothing about it, and you watch it and like take it at face value, it would probably be really horrifying. Except Faye Dunaway's performance is so wildly unhinged that you can't take any of this seriously. She's insane.
This is the craziest thing about it is this movie, in spite of itself, has a luxurious like Hollywood production. It is a beautiful period piece. It is magnificently produced. And at the center of it all is a woman losing her fucking mind in every scene. She is just madness personified. Like that scene with the wire hangers. I mean, it's well known because, you know, it's like one of the most quotable moments in any movie ever, but like she looks like a crazy person in that scene.
Yeah, no, this is a total hit piece. This movie is pure exploitation.
Yeah. And that trailer, I got to wonder if that's because this movie had two phases of marketing. And the very first phase was Paramount put it out there because they were like, this is the dramatic hit of the year. This is going to be our Oscar movie. And then it hit and nobody received it that way. And people were like roaring with laughter in the aisles, like rolling on the floor at movie theaters, just screaming their heads off with laughter. And they were like, oh shit. And so the second week of release, they sent out a whole second like series of posters. They recharacterized the trailers that they put out, and they were like, it's the black comedy of the year, guys. Like,
yikes.
Yeah, it was such a weird, like,
which is probably the most cynical thing I could imagine.
Sure, but also they had to fucking get their money back, you know, like somehow, because they were like, if we don't put this fire out, we're out $10 million.
Yeah.
So
it's real crazy.
It's Faye Dunaway's performance in this movie is unfucking hinged. And when you look into the production history of it and you realize that a lot of it had to do with the fact that she was just a lunatic in real life.
Yeah, she was like this in most movies. I think so Network is right before this, right?
Network is, I believe, is the movie. She did a couple of little things. I believe it was like some TV shit after Network, but there was this like lull in her career after that because the Network is 76 or 78.
I think it's 78.
And she gets
because Chinatown is 76.
Right. So she wins an Oscar for Network, and an Oscar win in Hollywood at the time, probably still to this day, just entitles you to do whatever the fuck you want. You have your choice of projects. You can behave any way you want to. You can the world is your fucking oyster in Hollywood if you win one of the big like Oscar.
I mean, categories. That's why people still let Quentin Tarantino make movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can tell, like it's either like a significant Oscar category win, or your movie just makes a fuck ton of money in a single release. And you can
she was like this on the set of Chinatown as well.
Oh my God.
Like she was this insufferable.
I cannot fucking imagine. Cause like we're still kind of dealing with old guard Hollywood at this time, in spite of the fact that like we are sort of coming out of the auteur phase, which is really kind of like a hinge point for the history of Hollywood. But there are still like the guy who produced this, Frank Yablans, was like one of the...
He was the fucking president of Paramount.
Yeah, he was like the big deal. This movie must have made him want to fucking quit.
Probably. He wrote it too, didn't he?
He
sort of wrote it.
Sort of wrote it. His girlfriend wrote it. And then had to negotiate a screen credit. But yeah, so let's talk some facts, because this movie, it's not just a crazy movie. It's a crazy movie with a crazy background.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So once again, we're back in our sweet spot. The year is 1981, year of our Lord.
Yeah, 1981.
Yep. So here were some other wacky movies released that year, 1981. George Romero's Knight Riders was released in 1981. Yeah. Me too.
Not a great one.
Me too.
It did unleash upon us Ed Harris.
This is true. Dancing Ed Harris.
Yep.
We also got Zorro, the Gay Blade, came out in 1981.
No good.
No. Have you ever seen Endless Love? That was also out in 81.
Yes.
That was the big like romance movie, but
yes, because the song was like the bigger hit than the movie.
right.
The Lionel Richie and Diana
Ross song. Yeah, because the movie is nuts. People sort of think that it's like, like impassioned teenage love. It's really about a stalker. It's like an abusive relationship, even by like 1981 standards. Yeah, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. The Legend of the Lone Ranger came out that year, movie that basically everybody forgot about.
God damn.
Yeah. 81, rough year. And also closing it out, Modern Problems. You know this one?
No.
Chevy Chase gets superpower from toxic waste.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. It's like Zapped without all the sexual assault.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Chevy Chase, though. So. Who's to say? He was a terrible person. Was and still is, I guess.
Yeah. So our director is a guy named Frank Perry.
Yep. He's Katy Perry's uncle.
Which blew my mind.
That's not even a joke. He actually is.
Actually is, yeah. He was brought in as a replacement for Franco Zeffirelli, who dropped the project after several drafts of the script. Seemed to be getting worse with each iteration.
Can you imagine what Franco Zeffirelli's version of this would have looked like?
Oh, well, his original...
somehow gauzier.
Yeah, his original vision for this was to make it like a massive, like an old Hollywood production, like big and loud and
it kind of is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like that was probably always the vision for it, but man, Zeffirelli, I can't fucking imagine. Like star filter, everybody's got like that kind of gauzy lens.
Yeah, he's not a good director. And apparently he's a bit of a handsy guy. A bit of a Me Too.
Fucking everybody was. One of the reasons, what it was, one of our co-stars here is Retanya Alda. She worked under now I can't remember, one of the big method guys. And the reason that he dropped her and when she was his student was because she wouldn't marry him.
Gross.
Yeah.
Real gross. Hey, dudes of the world, just fucking cut it out.
Stop.
You don't got to do that. Just be normal. People will like you if you just be normal and respectful.
Here's the thing. Stop it.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
Don't do it.
Just stop it. Just be normal men.
Yeah, just innocent men. Do it.
Perry's big hit in the 70s was Diary of a Mad Housewife.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got like a bunch of other stuff that I just have never heard of.
Have you ever seen The Swimmer?
For Doc.
He made The Swimmer, which is kind of a weird movie. It's a Burt Lancaster movie from, I think, 68,
shit. Yeah, I do
maybe?
know that one. Yeah.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah. He previously directed Dunaway in the Western Doc. He was the worst thing that could have happened to Faye Dunaway, who was already out of control. Most of the movies.
Yeah. And she still is. Yeah. She is apparently still terrible. She recently, I believe she had her biggest thing recently was that she had like an assistant who she was really abusive to in like a weirdly homophobic way.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's like, lady, you're like 75. Fucking tone it down.
Yeah. Take it down. Take it down. Yeah, most of the
movies.
Normal
Faye Dunaway.
Most of the movie's psychotic tenor has to do with him urging her to go bigger and bigger with every take. So like she was already on fire on set. Like she came in and was just controlling shit and was like screaming to the rafters. And he's like, yes, more. Okay, we're gonna do another take. Bigger, more. And so the next thing you know, she's screaming no wire hangers so loud that she loses her fucking voice. Cast, as we mentioned, star Faye Dunaway. Recast when the original Joan actor, Anne Bancroft, a contemporary of the real Joan Crawford, split the movie.
I would have been good. I would have seen Anne Bancroft in this.
Yeah. She made a splash in 1967's Bonnie and Clyde for Arthur Penn. When she heard that Perry, a director she'd worked with before, was doing this, she did the only thing that came to mind. She showed up at Perry's house in costume and character.
Just like a normal person does.
Yeah.
When you want a job, you
I remember what was
show
it
up in the middle of the night.
Did you ever hear about when Tim Burton was doing Batman Returns and Sean Young wanted the part of Catwoman? She got into like a Catwoman costume of her own making and like rappelled down to his office from the roof of the building.
I feel like it's the of her own making part that I'm most struck by.
Yeah,
Sean Young, not known for her seam work, seamstressing.
I'd like to see her do her hand, like try her hand at cosplay.
Oh,
yeah,
she already didn't get her the job.
Yep, she was, according to everyone on the cast and crew, a goddamn living nightmare. She was coming in off of a cold streak after her Oscar win for Network and terrorized the entire production from start to finish with tantrums.
Eyes
and
of
diva
Laura
behavior.
Mars. That's what she did.
That's what she did before this. Yeah,
written by John Carpenter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we've also got, and I chose this actress over the other one simply because I feel like she's way more compelling. Mara Hobel. She plays young Christina Crawford.
And just a heads up for everybody, I am going to say unkind things about this child. Just be aware.
Diana Scarwood gets the bigger credit as adult Christina, but I'd argue that young Mara Hobel, 9 years old at the time of this production, is a far more compelling and interesting actor.
She's in more of the movie.
I don't know. I feel like this movie is a solid 50-50. Either that or just the last adult Christina part just feels like a slog to me, that it feels longer than it is. She was famously injured several times during the production, including breathing actual comet cleaning dust during the bathroom freakout scene.
Being whipped with a wire hanger.
Being stabbed with the scissors when Dunaway cuts her hair, and being actually struck at Perry's insistence with the clothes hanger.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. To quote her, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And rounding out our cast, we've got Rutanya Alder, making her third appearance on this podcast and second feature in a row after our Christmas Evil episode. Not to mention the episode that started the whole thing off, appearing in Amityville 2, The Possession, as the woman that we lovingly refer to as Mommie Dearest the entire time. I don't think we ever call her by her actual name in that episode.
And she is, according to Sean Abley, a wonderful, very generous woman.
She sounds like a really, really she seems like the only person on this cast who was like, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into? And it is sort of like the anchor. Also, so for the 3 movies that she's done, this is 81. In 1980, she did Christmas Evil, and then in 1982. So it was like 1, 2, 3 for us. She did Amityville 2.
Now, to be fair, she's in Christmas Evil for about 5 seconds.
Everybody who's not Brandon Maggart is in Christmas Evil for about 5 seconds. Looking over her resume, she's been in everything from moody meditations like The Deer Hunter, pretty good movie, to cheap slop like Rappin'. Yeah, the lady is everywhere. She published her diary, which she kept during the production under the title The Mommie Dearest Diaries, and compared Faye Dunaway's autobiography, which positions itself in the best possible light. Alda's document of the fiasco is dire and intense, portraying an experience not much different from the role she plays in this movie.
I believe she also got injured on this when Faye Dunaway elbowed her in the chest really hard.
Yeah, so the scene where she goes to where Joan
please,
goes to
Barbara, please.
Joan goes to strangle Christina, and the 2 ladies come and pull her off. They did this several times, and every time she violently struggled against them, hurting them both.
Yeah, to the point where Jocelyn Brando was like, I'm not getting in there. She's insane.
Right. Oh, boy. So we got some taglines here. Before I get to the taglines, though, everyone from the studio to the producers thought that this was going to be a major dramatic hit. And a tour,
I cannot imagine how that's possible.
I do not know. I think that cocaine played a large role in it. I think that for a really long time, particularly around this time, everybody was just so fucking blown out on coke that they were like, every idea was the best idea.
Yeah.
Because they were convinced this was going to be a hit. This was going to be a tour de force performance, like a career greatest for Faye Dunaway. A week after the movie release, they read the room, changed the marketing to embrace the real public reaction. Like I said, everybody was just laughing their fucking asses off at this movie.
Like, I am not a terribly expressive or demonstrative person. Meaning that, like, if I find something funny, it's rare that I will laugh out loud. I will chuckle to myself or I will smile, but I don't usually laugh out loud. This movie made me laugh out loud multiple times, and I have seen this probably 30 or so times. I mean, I know what's coming every single time, and yet when it hits, big laughs from me.
Oh, it just does not diminish. It's the fucking
Meanwhile,
best.
she's whipping that poor girl with a coat hanger. Michael's got his hand over his mouth in horror, and I am just laughing uproariously
with laughter. Yeah. The retooled posters went from the Illusion of Perfection poster to one of Dunaway looking insane as Joan, accompanied by a little picture of a wire coat hanger.
I will say they've gone back to the perfection. That's the way, the more recent.
Yeah. That Paramount blue that I bought of this has that sort of like fold out box that has the original poster in it.
Did you watch the head of lettuce commentary? Listen, everybody, if you buy the Blu-ray for this, buy it for no other reason than listening to the head of lettuce commentary. It is hilarious because it's not even really a commentary. It's just his reactions as he's watching it.
Fucking hysterical. So yeah. This movie, the people who were involved in this movie do not talk about this movie. They are
because Faye Dunaway will come to your house in the middle of the night dressed like Catwoman.
And so there's not a lot of like making of stuff. There's no commentary by producers, writers, actors, or anything like that. But there are two separate commentary tracks. One with John Waters, who seems to be doing it for a paycheck, and one by Head of Lettuce, who is just having the time of their life.
He's for the love of the game. That's why he's doing
it. So here are the taglines. I'm gonna give you the taglines. Faye Dunaway is Joan Crawford, a star, a legend, a mother, the illusion of perfection.
It's a little too much menace in your voice.
But no, but that's serious. That's how they're trying to get away. So here's the other one. Here's the one after they retooled it. Faye Dunaway is Joan Crawford, a star, a legend, a mother, the illusion of perfection. Yeah, there was actually one more that they did after they sort of like repositioned the marketing, and it was simply meet the biggest mother of them all.
Oh, come on. This is Joan Crawford. Have a little bit of respect.
I know. That is the most fucking amazing thing about this movie to me at all is this woman. She had a certain fucking reputation around Hollywood, but she also had a certain good reputation around Hollywood. She is like, to this day, she's like one of a handful of like golden age, like silver screen greats that like everybody kind of goes to. It's like her, fucking Bette Davis, and
I think, well, here's one of the takeaways, because this movie is absolute trash. But one of the takeaways is that she was one of the people that was notoriously difficult, scare quotes. And I have to wonder was she difficult because at a time when women were supposed to sort of be diminutive and kowtow to whoever was shouting in their face or like grabbing them by the arm, she actually kind of advocated for herself and was a little bit assertive? I think that is
the result. That is why she has this reputation that she does, is simply because she from what I read, and I did a ton of fucking research on this, the after she died, everybody came out of the woodwork to basically have something to say about her. And all of her contemporaries were like, she got what she wanted, but she was like assertive and she was kind of a diva, but she did it in a way that kind of made you feel like you were doing something for her. So it wasn't,
she had no choice. I mean, if you were a woman at that time, or fucking even now, but like if you're a woman in the 1930s or whatever, she's early 30s probably. You had to, and all the shit they went through, all the shit they had to sacrifice. Like if you did all of that and then to have to like still constantly, defer to men on everything, like it she sacrificed everything to achieve what she achieved. And she was one of the few people that was like, fuck it, I'm not just giving it up because someone tells me to.
No, she was constantly, and we see it a bit in this movie, but it's also kind of a well-documented thing. She was constantly in survival mode. She constantly seemed to be on a kind of comeback. Like every couple of years, like she would be in some like big hit after a string of failures made her sort of lose her contract with a studio. Cause she worked for every studio in the city except for Paramount. So like she was constantly coming back from some kind of like a lull in her career, but she was paranoid and she was extremely competitive.
Not even really paranoid. I don't know if she was paranoid. More that she was very fearful. I mean, this is someone who came of age during the Depression. You know, she was a lot of stars were like that. Vincent Price was a lot like that as well. He was very much afraid of losing his ability to earn because he would have lost his house, and because they didn't make a lot of money. They kept up appearances, but they didn't make a shitload of money like they do today.
No,
and so
the thing is,
I
think we talk about going back on our Sunset Boulevard episode. Like some of the stuff that we mentioned in that one is the paycheck was just kind of a part of the deal. But the studio also kind of owned your house, and like everything that you had was through them. And if you kind of lost your contract with them, like, you know, they'd buy you out of your contract, probably, you know, usually at like a fair price, but like you'd also lose your fucking car and your house. And
that's why they were constantly out there being like, you know, like opening fucking grocery stores in Los Angeles, like doing weird shit that you'd never see stars doing today. But they had to do all this stuff because they were, you know, everything they did was dictated by the studios. And so I don't think it's so much paranoia as it is to just be like, she was an employee and she was, like all employees, she was terrified of losing her job because it was probably thrown in her face a lot, because this is someone who started in silent movies and managed to hold on to her career pretty much till the end. Not really respectably, not quite like Bette Davis did, but, you know, she worked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this movie, obviously based on the book by Christina Crawford, published a year after Joan's death, it went on to sell 700,000 hardbacks and over 3 million paperbacks.
Published a year after, but not written. It was written, it was done and ready to be published before.
Yeah. And that is a detail that is left out of a lot of the information about this, particularly the movie. The movie ends on a note that makes you think that this is like a sort of a revenge piece for being written out of Joan's will. But Christina had been working on this since the early 70s, I think.
Yeah, it was just a revenge piece because she sucks.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I find most amazing about just this movie's mere existence is even when the movie was published, like everybody still had like really kind of warm feelings of Joan Crawford. Like her movies are
people who knew her did.
Well, I mean also the public. Like she has, like I said, like I was telling you before this, like there's this clip of Christina Crawford on Phil Donahue and kind of answering to this irate Joan Crawford fan in like 1983.
Is that fan a man or a woman?
Woman.
No,
I know. You were expecting something else, weren't you?
I was.
No, but so like, I mean, like she had a lot of cash posthumously. But yeah, I wanted to use that word, but posthumously. She was like still like people remember her fondly, and then this fucking movie comes out that scene after scene is just a slap in the face to one of the biggest stars in Hollywood.
I hate to break it to you, the general public is fucking trash. They love a hit piece.
They love a hit piece. They love drama.
Remember when Cher was dating that guy who was like 10 years younger, and they were like, Cher's Bagel Boy, and I'm like, hey, get it, Cher. If you're fucking that like 22-year-old and you're like 40 or whatever, get it. But at the time, everyone was like, "Yeah, you're really slumming it with that Bagel Boy." Like, God damn it, that's Cher you're talking about.
Bagel Boy.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
I don't remember that. But
I think this was after she ended her relationship with Greg Allman.
Okay. So yeah, this was one of many of the sort of posthumously published hit pieces about old guard Hollywood stars that sort of dropped all around the same time. Along with this one, Gary Crosby, son of Bing Crosby, dropped a memoir called Going My Own Way about
which is also quite famously a hit piece that includes quite a few lies.
I was going to say, yeah, about the abuse he allegedly suffered at the hands of his father. His brothers have since...
I will say, though, with regard to that story, like 3 of them died when they were like in their 30s. 2 of them killed themselves. 1 of them died of a drug overdose. Probably not the best upbringing, but I don't think it's quite as bad as,
right.
as the son makes it out to be.
Yeah. So, his brothers went on to dispute the claims in the book the same way that Christina Crawford's sisters have. In 1985, Beatty Hyman published My Mother's Keeper, a memoir about the abuse she allegedly suffered at the hands of her mother, Betty Davis. So this shit was happening all over the place because, like, old Hollywood is starting to die off in the late 70s, and it is just a fucking gold mine for angry children who feel
and
like
also,
they didn't get their due.
But the public, it's a little bit like now if we started, we're reading biographies and memoirs of like stars from this, Jack Nicholson or whatever, like shit like that in the 80s. Everybody knew these people and you wanted to know more about them and you wanted them to be less glamorous for some reason.
Oh yeah, you want to sort of bring them down. You want to kind of meet them at your level, right?
Yeah. It's like, because Hollywood Babylon also is another one that's like, this is a book that is basically just a bunch of lies, but it makes everybody look really fucking bad.
Hollywood, I believe Kenneth Anger channeled Hollywood Babylon.
I don't know about the first one. I think by the third one he was, and by channeled, you mean he's just still lying? Yeah,
he's just making shit up.
He was
looking into a black mirror with a couple of lit candles and was like, yes, Jane Mansfield was snorting cocaine off an elephant's penis. Like,
look, I am going to find a way for us to cover Kenneth Anger somehow because goddamn it, I love him.
Listen, the way the Beaver Trilogy went over, I think we can do it. So, the script went through 18 goddamn drafts.
That is insane. It also had like 6 writers.
Yeah, so there are 4 credited screenwriters in the actual movie. When the script finally got the green light, the one that took the prize was a writer named Tracy Hotchner, mistress of Frank Yablans.
You ever heard of her? Of course not. She's only written one other thing.
She didn't get a credit at first. I had to negotiate the screen credit. Yep. She, let's see, the movie was such a fucking nightmare to produce that in Faye Dunaway's autobiography, she remarks that there was no wrap party for the movie. Just everybody was just so spent, just so tired. But
I told you, everyone just they called cut. Everybody just fucking walked away quietly.
Yep.
Never came back.
But her co-star, Ratanya Alda, has also written about the production extensively and the wrap party in her book, The Mommie Dearest Diary, remarking that Faye didn't go, implying that everyone was so tired of having to deal with her that they probably just told her there would be no wrap party. Which is cold shit.
That's great, though. It's really great.
Yeah.
So I would have done shit, but like, fucking don't say anything to Faye. Man. I can't do this anymore.
And so, like, 6 months for years, like, she goes on just being like, alas, everybody was just so emotionally exhausted from that movie that they couldn't bear. They just couldn't bear.
And they were all like, yeah, real
and they were
tired.
Like, don't nobody ever fucking tell her.
Couldn't wait to get home. Didn't stay out all night that night. Telling stories about how shooter you are.
Yep. Here's my favorite detail. Faye Dunaway couldn't stand to be looked at while she was acting. So not only was Mommie Dearest a closed set, but actors who were supposed to be in scenes with Dunaway would be forced to stand behind the camera with their backs to her unless they absolutely had to share the shot.
She's like a rabid animal.
And when they were like blocking scenes and shit, she was like Perry would come in and be like, okay, you're going to be over here. You're going to come in from here. You're going to stop. You're going to stand here. Okay. Now you're going to stand here and you're going to face her and you're this. And she would just be like, no. I am facing the camera, close up mode all the fucking time. You don't look at me. Don't look at me in my eyes. You turn around. And like that, and Perry was just like, fine, do what you want.
She and Roman Polanski, when they were filming Chinatown, she and Roman Polanski would get into screaming matches with each other to the point where they had to be like separated because everyone thought they were going to hit each other. He like tried to get her fired and the studio was like, absolutely not. She's a huge fucking draw. You have to figure this out. We'll sooner fire you before her.
That's crazy. Yeah. Dunaway thought that this movie was a shoo-in for another Oscar win. Part of her contract for the movie was that Paramount...
That's how you know she's crazy.
Yeah, was required to take out ads in Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, touting her for Best Actress. So like full-page ads, Faye Dunaway, for your consideration.
I mean, seriously, for your consideration.
Jesus.
Faye Dunaway, y'all.
Yeah. Christina Crawford's husband, David Koontz, received an executive producer credit despite having no actual role in the real world, nor did he have any filmmaking experience. But he used
apparently he was a big hindrance on this film.
During pre-production, he was sort of the go-to. And one of the things that I learned about this, and I wasn't really surprised because it's actually kind of an element in the movie, is whenever there was like a woman was involved in the production of a film, like obviously because of the gender dynamics of Hollywood, she would bring in usually husbands, boyfriends, or whatever in case
anyone had to sign anything or pay with a credit card
to sort of act as like reinforcement or like muscle to kind of like really drive home like you have to do this. And so when
you know who didn't need that? Fucking Joan Crawford.
No, she did, because like that Greg Savitz, that character in this movie, like that's his role.
Oh, he's a real piece
and
of
like
shit.
A bunch of her like boyfriends and shit, she was always dating like studio lawyers because they had like direct lines on the executives.
Can you imagine having to be that calculating your whole fucking life? It must have been exhausting.
It's exhausting. The next thing you know, you're waking your kid up over a fucking wire hanger in their closet.
Yeah. What do you do? It's already in your hand. It's either go to bed or whip them with it. And I mean, it's already in your hand.
Yeah. And so the whole thing with David Koontz was he kept Christina, she got something like a $300,000 option on this. And they kept bringing the scripts to her because I believe that like she had a role in sort of like agreeing to the scripts that they used. And every time that they would bring a script to her, she would be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Just write my book. This movie makes her look way too sympathetic.
Which is insane. That is a crazy thing to say.
And so this kept happening. And she's one of the reasons why there was 18 fucking drafts of this script.
Until they were finally like, you know what? No more Christina Crawford.
Yeah.
You're not part of this movie anymore.
So eventually it's what eventually drives Zeffirelli out. And so eventually they get the Hotchner script. She and David Koontz like agree to it, and they finally have a reason to fucking ice her and her husband out of this production, and they get on with it. Unfortunately, Faye Dunaway brought her husband Terry O'Neill with her, and he was just as fucking much of a nightmare as she was. And so like she would do a thing and insist upon a thing, and he would get in the mix and get real fucking nasty with the producers and the directors too. And so yeah, he got an executive producer credit. They both get the same credit on the title card.
Because at a certain point, Frank Perry was like, look, we either need to start making this movie or I am literally going to shoot myself in the face.
He must have wanted to fucking die. I can't believe it.
I am Katy Perry's uncle. You will do what I say.
Yep. But also that's like an easy paycheck for those guys because they also got paid for being executive producer.
God damn it.
Yep.
God damn it.
Yep. Movie had to be significantly cut in post to bring the runtime down. Early rough cuts had the movie way over 3 hours long.
I want that. I want the director's cut.
I want to see that stuff. Like, I don't believe there's any sort of like recovered deleted scenes or anything like that, because like some of the stuff that they cut sounds interesting as hell.
Well, I mean, I'm sure fucking Joan Crawford's daughters are like, I will have you all killed to put this out.
Right.
I have sued my sister 9 times.
Retanya Alda's character, Carol Ann, is a fabrication based on Joan's live-in secretary from 1955 to her death in 1977. It was a woman named Betty Barker. The woman in the movie is based on Christina Crawford's memory of this woman, which makes her seem like an accomplice to so many crimes, but also a deeply repressed woman who is in love with Joan Crawford. Yeah. Joan had 4 children total, 5 if you count the one that was returned to the
one she gave away, what she gave back.
Holy shit. I did not.
Now, to be fair, that's, the way we're describing it is she adopted a child. The child found out that, or the woman who gave up the child found out who had adopted her baby, and she tried to like extort money from her, and she was basically like, nope, here's your baby back. I'm gonna go get a different one. It sounds really callous, but what the fuck else are you gonna do?
Two of these children are conspicuously absent from the movie owing to the fact that this hit piece stemmed from Christina and Christopher being disinherited from Joan's will, while the other two inherited a small amount from Joan's estate left over from what didn't go to charities.
But even Christopher Crawford was like, look, I had a very complicated relationship with my mother. She was not very nice to me as far as I remember, but she wasn't what is described in this book.
Yeah. Yeah. And that,
he kind of backed his sister a little bit, but he was like stopped short of being like, yes, she was a tyrant all the time. He was like, she was very strict and mean, and I do not care for her.
No, and it sounds like from the jump, he had a lot of problems. Like even as a young child, he had a lot of problems.
Because he died quite young, I think from a drug overdose.
No, he died from cancer. But he had like significant drug and alcohol problems like throughout his entire life. Yep. Christina and Christopher were not the original names of the children in the movie. Christina was named Joan Jr. and Christopher was named Philip Terry Jr., named after Joan's then husband, Philip Terry. But when they split up, Joan changed the children's names. So for like a while, they were known as fucking Joan Jr. and Philip Jr.
I always think it's weird when women name children.
That stuck out to me. I've never seen that before.
It's an old thing. Like it's I write a lot of stories during my job, and a lot of times in like older cases that I'm writing up and older stories I'm writing, it's like it happens more than you'd think. It's just not a thing people do anymore.
Yeah.
Also, stop naming them after yourself, you fucking narcissist.
Though I do. I'm occasionally like I'll meet the third or the fourth. That's fucking impressive to me.
I think it's kind of lazy if you ask me.
No imagination.
None. You can name many. You could name them Clarence. You could name them a rerun. It doesn't matter.
They could. So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
What did the press think of this movie?
Oh, well, it's actually kind of interesting. I do before I hit you with those, I do want to say there's some great quotes that I have from Bette Davis. This is, I think, speaks to how people cared for Joan Crawford. This is a great moment of Joan Crawford. This is what Bette Davis said. I was not Miss Crawford's biggest fan, but wisecracks to the contrary, I did and still do respect her talent. What she did not deserve was that detestable book written by her daughter. I've forgotten her name. Horrible.
What a slice. That little.
And then when Johnny Carson, she was on Johnny Carson.
Yes, the comment that she made about Faye Dunaway.
Yes,
fucking amazing.
And he asked her who her least favorite person in Hollywood was. This is a question that I imagine a lot of people would ask, and fucking nobody would answer this question ever. And she did not hesitate. She said, Faye Dunaway, and anyone else who sits here will say exactly the same thing. God bless you, Bette Davis.
I know that question is proposed to her as like a comedic moment, and she just cuts right in.
Yep. And then there was another one from costume designer Irene Sharaf.
Oh yeah, right.
When she says she was talking about Faye Dunaway, she said, "Yeah, you may enter Miss Dunaway's dressing room, but first you must throw in a raw steak to divert her attention." Cold.
Oh, so cold.
Yeah. So we got some good ones. This is from Bruce McCabe, Ye Olde Boston Globe. This film about child abuse should be seen, even though the debate about its style, or some might argue lack thereof, calm down, Queen, will obscure the more serious emotional and psychological issues it raises. The story is one to which anyone, parent or child, could relate. It's as real as the here and now. So there are two ways that people interpreted this movie. Some of them thought it was very serious, and some of them thought it was fucking ridiculous. Bruce McCabe apparently thought it was very serious. Bruce McCabe, I'm guessing, didn't have much of a sense of humor. Certainly not a gay man, I'll tell you that much. Okay. Janet Maslin, my girl Janet, New York Times. This is a movie so heartless that the reading of Miss Crawford's will is more important than her demise. Her craziness and her venomous temper are thoroughly, almost lovingly depicted. She needn't have been lionized here, but she did need more humanity than Mr. Perry allows her in order for Mommie Dearest to have any claim to coherence or continuity.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, she was not impressed with this one. Oh, goodness. Kevin Thomas, Los Angeles Times. Faye Dunaway is a terrific Joan Crawford, but Mommie Dearest plays like a limp parody of a bad Crawford movie. When Dunaway's Crawford, who's a seething volcano of emotions, finally erupts, the effect is laughable rather than terrifying or pathetic. So trite and pallid is the picture. Mommie Dearest is at best campy and at worst merely plodding. Needless to say, Joan Crawford would have hated Mommie Dearest, yet she might have been gratified that it was Dunaway who portrayed her. Apparently she really liked Faye Dunaway.
All right.
Or thought she was a good actor. I'm sure everyone would have fucking hated Faye Dunaway.
That is the sort of the other edge of the sword. That's
the rub, is that she actually is a good actor.
She's a fantastic actor. And I would say, the overacting notwithstanding, she's really fucking good in this.
She also looks a lot like her.
It's crazy. When she's finally revealed, I was like, God damn, good job.
Mm-hmm. Now, the last one. I don't think you can show such extraordinary behavior in a film about a famous person and not offer some answers. It's simply not responsible filmmaking. Mommie Dearest comes dangerously close to an exploitation film. Can you hear the indignation rising? That the film received a general audience PG rating makes a mockery of the rating system.
Oh my God.
Yes?
What is so offensive in this movie? Because it did get an R rating on its first submission to the MPAA. And then they appealed it and they were like, fine, you get a PG.
I mean, some of the abuse scenes are pretty aggressive, but
there's I suppose. And like
that, by the way, was Genie.
He is so easily offended.
He seems like the worst person to spend time with. Like, I just can't. What do you think being married to him
I would
hate
I would never go to the fucking movies with him.
I bet he did nothing but pontificate over dinner. Well, I was reading in the Atlantic today that the liberals are trying to end the war in Indochina.
We were discussing Wittgenstein over. I can't remember the rest of that one. Oh, fine. We were eating packs of mustard in Barney's car. Yeah, that guy he is so fucking just so exhausting. Whenever his shit comes up in our show, it's like, oh fuck, I know exactly who you're describing right now.
Yeah, it's like someone asked, that fucking guy, the big teeth, this terrible conservative William F. Buckley. It's like if someone
that's a lot of guys.
If someone asked William F. Buckley to write film review, and they didn't mention Jesus once.
Unreal.
So yeah, the critics on this one I mostly thought it was a laughable film, except for the humorless ones who thought it was a very serious meditation on child abuse.
That's really fucking funny, because like that was the goal. So like apparently some people did like pick up on that, but apparently not enough, because they were like a week in, they're like, oh shit, we got a problem here with the way people are receiving our serious Oscar bait movie.
I mean, the movie is absurd. Now, here's why you know this was a super troubled production. This is 1981. This is the kind of movie that should have had a shitload of stunt casting and cameos in it, and there is they're barely a recognizable person in it.
Right.
Because most people were like, I'm not going to be in that shit.
Yeah. Most of the women who were sort of who were shown the script were like, yeah, I'm not gonna fucking do that. Like that's
there were you have super famous names that everybody remembers. Like you should have had like Lucille Ball playing fucking some Hedda Hopper or some shit. Like, but you never see anybody like that because they were probably like, oh no, Faye Dunaway, no, I'm fine, thank you.
No, most of them were just were like afraid. They were like, this is a fucking hit piece. Like this is gonna ruin my career, and they weren't wrong. Like this movie kind of ruined Faye Dunaway's career. Like her hot streak was over.
The only one who survived it, Henry Mancini. Mostly because his career was pretty much at an end.
Yeah.
As was his life.
I do love the music in this. It's such melodrama music. It's perfect. It's like soap opera
that's the thing music. Is they got the right people, sort of. Like if you think about who the original people were, it's like you went to the right people to make this movie. Unfortunately, all the ones that were smart were like, oh, Nope. 2 weeks. And they were like, I'm out.
Yeah.
No, thanks. Henry Mancini was like, I'll do it, but no, I'm not going to work on it. Like, I'll wait until you're done.
Yeah. What was it? Was it Was it Mia Farrow who was up for Christina at one point?
Can you imagine Mia Farrow?
Mia Farrow.
Two Hollywood dames. Just
yeah. But basically everybody was like, yeah, I'm not touching that. That's going to fucking end. That's a career ender right there. Like, everybody saw it on the page, and like Faye Dunaway was like, no, this is my calling.
Like I am Joan
Crawford, to such a point that like afterwards when she was like on set, like, fucking set reporters, Hollywood Reporter, like variety reporters would come on, they talk to her and she'd be like, Joan follows me home at night. I'm haunted by the ghost of Joan Crawford. It's like, oh my God.
And someone had to be like, do we still have studio psychiatrists? Are those still a thing?
Yeah. Oh,
like a house detective.
You want to get in?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. So we open at the early hour of 4 a.m., Joan Crawford, in a bed that could comfortably sleep 12, rises and begins a rigorous process of preparation.
Got the old vodka face wash. Classic stuff.
Strip it. Is that what that shit is? I thought she was just pouring water in that bowl.
No, I don't know if they say it in this, but it is, I believe, vodka and ice, because vodka's obviously an astringent. And the ice is going, so both of them are like
tighten her pores.
Immediately tighten your face.
Yeah. She begins stripping off the bands that keep her face tight. She scrubs her arms and hands vigorously. Then her face.
It's like Johnny, get your gun. Like, she is wrapped up in these bandages.
Yeah, and we're gonna see it like several times. She was a fan of like keeping it tight with those bands.
I bet she had one of those things, one of those machines that mostly women would use them, and they turned it on the big fucking motor, and it would just like shake their body,
just jiggle you.
And like this was supposed to be a weight loss thing. It's like, you're not even doing anything.
Like, how the fuck does that machine work?
Do you know how this works? Yeah. You got to move a little bit.
Yeah. She chooses an outfit from a museum of clothing, a wardrobe which occupies several rooms, and then takes a car over to MGM Studios to shoot the Ice Follies of 1939.
She also takes kind of like a whore's bath, which is weird. I'm like, why are you washing your arms and then you get into the shower? Like, this is a pre-wash? You getting into the sauna? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, she's got a process. We got to know, because it's not just Joan Crawford. She is a woman of discipline.
I do appreciate her when they kind of pan over the shoes section of her house, and she just has this like display cases. I'm like, I'm really envious, and not because I like shoes. I own like 2 pairs of shoes, but I do own a lot of toys. And so I would like to have.
You get it. You want to show. You want people to see your shoes or your toys.
Yeah.
Originally, the opening was much longer. That involved Joan shooting the actual Ice Follies of 1939, but the budget was cut nearly $500,000 days before production, and they had to cut the whole scene.
Reading the script for the Ice Follies of 1939, I was like, it'll be a smash.
Yeah.
The Ice Follies of 1939.
Yep. So back at home,
I can make a movie about anything.
like the Ice Follies. I have no idea what those are.
Well, it was probably a performance of Follies. It was, the 1939 Follies on the ice.
Follies performed on the ice, because we do see her put on some ice skates.
Oh.
Yeah. Back at home, Joan scrubs the floors as her secretary.
I will say in that moment when she's in the chair and like they're lacing up the boots and everything, it's like, we're ready for you, Miss Crawford. Ring a ding.
Oh yeah, they turn her over, and it's like a harp, like ring as they turn.
It is, and I was like she looks a little bit like Louise Lasser in Blood Rage, like a little bit like a party clown.
Yeah, and so apparently, like when she was doing this, like she studied pictures of her in such, and like would compare her, like her look in the reflection in a mirror, so that she had to hold her face. She trained her muscles to hold her face exactly like Joan Crawford did, so that her like face looked like her, which is like some crazy Buddhist monk shit, but absolutely amazing. Like she was committed to this shit.
If nothing else, she does look like
her.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Back at home, she scrubs the floor as her secretary, Carol Ann, summons her to examine the cleaning of the living room.
Yeah, because Large Marge had just finished cleaning the house.
Yep, it's Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Is the job to her satisfaction? No, it is not.
She runs her finger across things and it's fine. And then she moves the plant and she says, Helga, when you polish the floor, you have to move the tree. And also, my God, those eyebrows.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Joan Crawford had some fucking eyebrows, man.
Whew.
Yeah. So when you polish the floors, you have to move the tree. I have to do everything myself.
Very matter of fact.
Yeah. She receives her lawyer, sometimes love interest.
We're just going to skip over Large Marge like that. Like she's nothing. Nothing to you.
Nothing. No, and she's going to die.
She doesn't have any fucking lines, so it doesn't matter.
Real soon, she's going to be dead. Ain't you going to be disappointed? Sound like a garbage truck being dropped off the Empire State Building. She receives her lawyer, sometimes love interest, Greg Savitt, for a little fun time in the magnificent shower in a bathroom the size of my entire house.
So Greg is based on this guy, Greg, I think it's Batzer. So he was like one of like Hollywood's sort of notorious fixers.
Yeah.
He was a lawyer and like one of the big lawyers.
He was a lawyer. He was one of MGM's like studio lawyers.
And he was sort of like, because there were tons of fixers back in the 20s and 30s, into the 50s, really. And he had like relationships with every big female star. Like he was not famous for being in movies, but he was like famous for being with women. And it's just so weird that like being famous, like fame adjacent, could be a thing.
That is some player shit. Like you're famous around Hollywood, not for being in the movies, but for being with the women who are in the movies.
And usually like those guys like Johnny Stompanato and like shit like real slimy dudes would be kind of like treated like a joke everywhere because they'd be like, oh, you're just so-and-so's boyfriend.
Yeah.
But nope. Greg Boutzer, he was well respected. I think he was kind of a shithead, but I mean, he's definitely a shithead in this movie.
Yeah, he is. Elsewhere, Joan is filmed.
It's like real in shape, out of shape guy from the 1950s.
I love it. So yeah, that guy, no, I can't remember. Steve Forrest, I think is his name. He embodies the look of that. Like whenever like Rock Hudson took his shirt off, like he had that look where like nowadays you see a fit dude in a movie and it's like, like they've been taking HGH for a while. They got the fucking six pack and all. Like, so this is like barrel chested dude, like no definition.
Yeah, he's got like his fucking true waisted pant, like pulled up through the belly button. And it's just,
I love that.
Amazing.
I love that look. I won't lie.
Like Ricky Ricardo, y'all just,
yeah.
You know,
you
want to make something of it? I don't know.
Yeah. It's a guy who's fit for being somebody who drinks and smokes a lot.
Yeah, like a 3 martini lunch kind of guy.
Yeah. So elsewhere, Joan is filmed by a publicity staff as she hands off Christmas gifts to children at a Catholic orphanage.
And look, I know that she seems to appreciate the aesthetics of children. I just don't know that Joan Crawford is the right person for children. He's a little high strung.
Not if Christina Crawford has anything to say about it.
It's like if someone asked me like, hey, you want to raise a child? I'd be like, I don't know. I have really high anxiety about a lot of things and terrified a lot of the time. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to take a run at it. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
So now walking on the beach with Savitt, she tells him that the one thing missing from her life is a baby.
That was good. He said, and he was like, a baby? You're a train wreck, Joan.
He's like, no, what you need is a hit film, doll.
Oh, and she's like, you son of a bitch.
It's been a while.
Because he trashes her the whole fucking movie.
Well, here's the thing is, I would say
gets my applause.
I would say that he is the guy who is kind of the voice of reason because she is.
Yeah, but he's also an asshole about it.
Oh, sure. Like, I mean, he probably.
He's like, well, if you weren't such a fucking low rent slut, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to tell her she was fat and not fit to be a mother.
It's been a while since Joan has been in a big deal picture. She reveals that she's tried 7 times and miscarried every time to have a child. He informs her that because of her lifestyle, she'd be poisoned to an adoption agency. There's a
Which is true. This is a fact that I think would probably get overlooked at this point. But like, as much as people worshipped Hollywood stars, people in show business were thought to be sort of a different class of people. Like, they were still a little low rent.
Yeah. Like, I mean, despite the glamour, I mean, like, like she was married like 4 times. She had fucking a new boyfriend once a week.
Yeah, because every single one of them served some weird purpose in her life.
Yeah. Yeah, but which I think is kind of the way that a lot of that works. I mean, there's still like, I mean, really,
let's be honest, that's
nowadays,
the way a lot of things
nowadays
still
they
work.
do it. Like if you're involved in the Church of Scientology, they fucking do that. But back then they used to like just be like, you and this star are now the hottest couple in Hollywood. They'd be like, get out there and smile for the cameras. And then, the fucking 6 months they get married, and then like, fucking year
and then
later,
Lana Turner would be like, yeah, but he's a gay. And they'd be like, I don't care. That's the whole point. Get out there.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really kind of it does not make for a healthy, environment to have a child growing up.
Well, see, and I think that's why there was so much, like the Hollywood memoir was so prolific because everyone was like, you all seem like you're real fucked up now. I'm like, yeah, here's why. Here's a book about why.
Yeah. So now there's a charged monologue here about having the stuff to raise a child based on her own experience without a father in the house and her struggles in Hollywood. Yeah, Joan's life really does kind of mirror Christina's in a way, minus the opulence. Like it was like her dad kind of abandoned her, and her mom had this like fucking just parade of men come through. And before she just abandoned her too. And then like Joan Crawford really was kind of like a self-made star.
Because where's she from? Kansas or something like that?
I cannot remember. Idaho, I think.
Somewhere in the Midwest. And she like hopped on a bus and was like, well, off to Hollywood to make it in the picture shows. And she did. Yeah. She's worked with she worked with Todd Browning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really
her entire, her fucking life sort of informed the way that she raised her children. Like her expectation was, you're also going to have to sort of like learn to make it like I did, baby.
And I think that's why some of the stuff in Christina Crawford's book feels plausible, is like, because the way it comes across is like she thought she was doing the right thing by like hardening them and making them ready for a world that is very, very cruel, which, I guess so, but like you can't do it by hitting them with a wire hand.
Right. At the same time,
which I don't think she actually did.
At the same time, she did like shower them with luxury.
Yeah. Apparently not enough.
Yeah.
For some people.
Oh, God. Yeah. So later on, an adoption agent later informs her that she's been denied the opportunity to have a baby.
Well, before she goes into that, she says she's talking to Greg or whatever, and she's about to go to the adoption agency. And she says, do I look all right? And I thought, well, you look all right, but your hair has a kind of a David Johansen-esque quality. Otherwise, you look fine. No, you get out there.
Yeah. She's been denied the opportunity for all the reasons that Savitt outlined as they walked to the beach. But later, Savitt informs her that he's pulled some strings to deliver a child to her, and a nurse comes in bearing a baby girl that Joan names Christina, as she dramatically ascends the luxurious staircase in this crazy-ass mansion that she lives in.
And all I could look at were those fucking stairs, because my note just says, ugh, carpeted stairs.
Yeah, which was the style. It was the style at the time.
Yeah, tie an onion on your belt.
Yeah, well, back in 1953. Years later, we join Joan and Christina, age 5, I think, at her birthday party. It's a suitably...
They really rocket us forward in time.
Oh, I know. It's a suitably extravagant affair, while the studio cameras shoot it all for newsreels and publicity.
And this is what like Crawford money can get. They got pony rides and a carousel and
a guy juggling
GIs
knives
for some reason.
Yep.
And look, I don't want to speak ill of a child's appearance, but I did warn you I feel like the girl playing Christina gives off a real reject Jan Brady vibe.
I think that she is great. And also,
okay, well, I have more unkind things to say later.
Okay. All right. Well, I will take her side on those, because I think that she is adorable. The kid is really cute.
So I think this party goes back to what I was saying before about how this is the type of shit they used to have to do. Like every single aspect of their lives was controlled by this is a fucking child's birthday party.
Oh yeah.
But she has to use it as a press event, essentially. So all the fucking stars have to be there, and their wives, and you got to have a ton of fucking reporters, and there's tons of GIs for some reason.
I think, honestly, the reason also it's wartime. This is
right. So this is everything has
I
to
believe
be.
Is when this is because it's 43 or 44. The time the shit gets a little. They fudge the timeline a little bit, but it's supposed to be like World War II is happening.
this is probably not exactly what the party was like, but this is what parties were like. Like everything, including your child's 5th birthday, is a press event orchestrated by the studio. And so you just sort of have to play along. And so while Christina is probably in her mind being like, that fucking bitch couldn't even throw me a birthday party. Here's Joan Crawford being like, I wish I could have just thrown you a birthday party. But instead, Louis B. Mayer had to come in and dictate absolutely everything because he's an asshole.
Yeah, that is that is probably the detail that was left out, like that was sort of omitted from Christina's perspective is
right.
That shit was not necessarily up to Joan Crawford. Like the studio just thrust this shit on you.
Yep. And so I think that's the kind of thing that when we look at stuff like this now, we have to remember, like, that's what their lives were like. Every single thing they did, everywhere they went, was orchestrated by the studio. They were owned by MGM.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
fucking goddamn, man. Joan is also shown to have adopted a second child, a baby boy named Christopher. There's an army of...
They conveniently leave out that other thing about giving the other one back.
Yeah. There's an army of photographers.
It's unsavory.
Army of photographers led by one of the ghosts from the Sentinel. Joan, in a dress matching Christina's, lavishes Christina with attention. A grass stain on the dress shows the first fracture of Joan's facade.
Oh, yeah. He's the black and white cake for a black and white cat.
That's right.
Right.
Well, I think that's the old lady, but he's
the guy's husband or the woman's husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the table.
Yeah. As soon as I saw him, I was like, motherfucker from the Sentinel.
I knew I recognized him. I couldn't figure out where.
Yep. Later on, Christina opens her presents and is given a doll. The rest of her presents will be given to orphans. Savitt shows up with a gift for Christina, a luxurious charm bracelet, which challenges Joan's authority about the gifts going to orphans.
I do want to say that when the guy from Sentinel's taking the pictures, he says, really, Miss Crawford, that grass stain might read. And the look that she gives him when he says that is the look that inspired a million drag queens. She cocks an eyebrow, big fucking clownishly painted on eyebrow.
Yeah. Every drag race contestant is like, how high can I draw these eyebrows on? Well,
listen, I'll tell you what, having just recently watched the Drag Race after not seeing it in many, many years, I assure you, none of them have seen this movie. Now, Instagram and TikTok, sure.
Yeah.
This movie, not so much. I would say Christina's look in this is her hair is what I would describe as a George Washington chic.
It's got that founding fathers glow about it.
It is a strange style.
Yeah, it was a style at the time. There was another story that I'd read about the actual way that these Christmas parties went down, as witnessed by people who attended them. Not Christmas parties, birthday parties. Is when Christina would open her presents, she would do them. She would have to open them very carefully, not tearing the paper. And then once the paper was off the gift, she would have to fold it very neatly and give it was like fucking Chado tea ceremony for samurais or something like that. And then she would take the gift and parade it around the room so that everybody could see it. And so by the time she was like 10 presents deep, because of course, like everybody plus fans were sending her shit, she was just like, I'm so tired, I can't keep doing this, which set Joan off.
Now listen, I mean, I get it. I am on record as being anti-child, but I understand, like, if you're a kid and all you want to do is fucking tear into your shit, and your mom's like, no, we have to, we've got fucking cameras. And you're like, you don't get it. You don't understand. And you're a kid. You don't give a shit about what your parents do. You don't even think they're real people.
Oh no, my kids do not give a fuck about me.
And so, well, yeah, because you're bullying the one. Remember when you were like, you're a poser, I hate
you. Yeah, I didn't say I hated him, but I did call him a poser.
I kind of get it, but like, it just seems like Christina becomes so self-absorbed that she's like, my perception is accurate. Like, she never took the time to be like, I wonder how hard it was for her.
You know what? You know what this movie made me think of is, do you remember when we were working at the record store, there was
when Cher dated the bagel guy? I know.
No, there was that summer when, like, I don't know why it was different than all the other summers that we worked there, but like all of a sudden all the trust fund kids came home from boarding school and there was just this fucking horde of just like obscenely rich teenagers around. And like Christina's behavior later on in this movie reminded me all of them, of just like these just coked up 16-year-olds.
Listen, I live in Cambridge, Massachusetts. That is nothing but coked up 16 with trust funds.
Yeah, like
and they're all in my way all the time.
Yeah, like every time I would see like real stuff about the real Christina Crawford, I'd be like, oh my God, it's like it's like that fucking dude that we worked with that one summer who was just a fucking nightmare the whole time.
Which one?
I'll
cut it out if you want. Oh, he didn't work there.
Yes, he did.
He fucking hung out there.
I worked like several times. I used to open the fucking.
Absolutely did not. He did not work there.
Yes, he did.
Just hung out
he did.
there.
Yes, he fucking did.
Why would I have hired?
I don't know, but he had like he was a fucking nightmare the whole time. Except,
oh my God, I think you're right. I think he did work there.
Except for
Jesus
the times
Christ.
that he and I would open the store, and he was an entirely different person.
Oh no, he was fine one-on-one. Like once he dropped the act.
But when was around, like, oh my God, those two, I wanted to fucking murder them.
Ooh, I did do that, didn't I? God damn it.
Yeah, great fucking job.
I was terrible at managing that store. I was drunk all the time.
All right. All that's getting cut out. Let's see. At the pool, Joan is critical of Christina's diving form, drilling her many times.
This feels like probably more like what her attitude towards her was actually like.
I would imagine that, yeah. Like here's the thing, is like I'm definitely team Joan in this movie, or rather in the story, like the sort of way, simply because Christina definitely is lying her ass off about a lot of stuff, and definitely blowing shit out of proportion, misinterpreting stuff, misrepresenting stuff. But I would imagine that Joan was definitely like a person who was just like, you got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect all the fucking time. You've got to be the best. You know. So like this scene where she's just giving her a hard time, she's not even really giving her a hard time. She's just like,
she's just kind of being a jerk a little bit. Like she thinks, I imagine she thinks she's doing the right thing. She thinks she's hardening her for a world that is very, very mean. And if you want to succeed, you have to really push yourself and be the absolute best.
Because Joan Crawford,
unfortunately,
the world, according to Joan Crawford, was that it was fucking mean and hard.
Right, because the world to Joan Crawford was extremely mean and hard. Now, the thing is, Joan Crawford probably should have put her children first. And she didn't because she couldn't. And it's a very complicated thing. I'm not going to judge her for it, but whatever. She obviously was not a great parent. She wasn't the best parent, maybe. But like, I very much think she was not abusive. But I think she probably was this way a lot of the time, where she was like, you have to be the best or else. And it's like, well, you're not being really, like, you're not, the things you're doing right now are not going to lead to that outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to lead to Christina Crawford.
And Christopher Crawford, who will spit in your face when he's 13.
Yeah. I think he was 12. He was 12 years old when he did that.
Good God. Also, there's a script growing around MGM that she wants but hasn't been offered. So when Savitt leaves to meet with Mayor at MGM, Joan and Christina race in the pool, Joan beating Christina lap after lap.
And listen, this girl, bitch, you swam one lap and you're breathing like Shelley Winters in the Poseidon Adventure. Like, she is just like, it's not even a big pool. Calm down.
She got little legs, man. Give her a break.
No, I hate her.
Tired, Christina complains that it's not fair, and Jones tries to teach her a lesson about life not being fair.
She says, you lost again. I'm bigger and I'm faster and I'll always beat you.
That's a good impression.
That's my favorite part.
Look, Christina's rebellion outrages Joan, who spanks her and locks her in the pool house.
And you can see it. She's right about to fly off the handle. You can see it on her face.
She got that crazy eyes.
Can you imagine? This is Faye Dunaway the whole fucking time.
Because here's that, like, oh my gosh. So Faye Dunaway, famously method, that shit sounds annoying as hell.
Listen, if anybody is listening to this and they are an aspiring actor, please don't be a method actor. Everybody around you hates you so much.
They sound so fucking annoying. there's let's see. So we've got
But
this.
the whole point of acting is that you turn it on and then you turn it off. That's what makes you good at what you do.
Yeah, like listen here, Daniel Day-Lewis.
If you have to be John Wayne Gacy the whole time, that's just creepy.
Listen here, Daniel Day-Lewis. You don't gotta be fucking Abraham Lincoln the whole goddamn time you're on set and off set. The same thing goes for you, Jared Leto. You're not really the Joker. Cut it out.
Yeah, and that's why you're the worst Joker.
Yep. So now, after a lively run through Brentwood, where she bitches about not being appreciated by him.
This scene makes her look like an absolute lunatic.
She's got the eye of the tiger.
Running along beside the car, just quietly muttering to herself the whole time.
how LB doesn't appreciate me. Everything I've done for him.
Yeah.
So
and she gets home, and what happens?
Joan receives a call from Savitt, who tells her that they have a meeting with LB Mayer to receive the part that she was gunning for. She runs upstairs to tell Tina, but finds her playing pretend in her mirror, as if she's her mother. Joan, thinking that she's...
My note just says, oh no, here she goes again. Tina, you can't mock mommy that way.
Tina, you have fucked up so bad. Joan...
Now, listen, I don't understand how anybody could take this shit seriously. This scene alone, she is so hammy.
This scene is like a little preview of what you're going to get at the wire hanger scene. Because Joan, thinking that she's being mocked by her 5-year-old daughter, angrily lashes out and cuts Christina's hair while freaking the fuck out.
So this was the first moment where I was laughing out loud, like uncontrollably, and Michael was just like,
just like literally rolling on the floor, like kicking your legs in the air and shit.
I was like head back, cackling.
Yeah. Now, at a posh Hollywood restaurant, Joan and Savitt are greeted by a mob of Joan's fans. Inside, she meets with Louis Mayer, and some money people. And the dinner is supposed to be just for Joan and Savitt, but Mayer hijacks the two of them to her dismay.
So I think here is, underneath all this ridiculous faux child abuse and melodramatic bullshit, I think this is the moment where the movie actually has something to say, like, hey, everybody, here's how women were treated in Hollywood. Here's how the most powerful women in Hollywood were treated by men.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because the setup is, it's just supposed to be the two of them going to, I don't know, the fucking Brown Derby or something like that. And they get there, and Mayer and a couple of money guys happen.
That's where you get a Cobb salad. Cobb salad comes from the Brown Derby. It's come from the Brown Derby.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening is like
Mayer threw you off with the Cobb salad fact. Someone was talking about my salad facts, always throwing you off.
I know. Now I'm off my fucking game. You ruined my rhythm. But I do love a salad fact.
You did call him Louis B. Mayer, so I didn't throw you off anything. You were already off.
I know. I'm reading a fucking script, and it jumped out at me. I should have put an E at the end there just to. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to keep calling him LB because that's what they did in Hollywood.
Hey, LB.
But yeah, the whole
Have
thing.
you tried the Cobb salad? You know, it comes from the Brown Derby.
Yeah. So the whole setup is it's just supposed to be for them, but like what Mayer wants, Mayer gets, and she kind of belongs to him in a commodity sense. So like he's like, no.
And this is very much how he thought of everybody. He was a real piece of shit.
Oh, I'm sure all of those guys did. You know, they reached a spot where they were
very poorly.
Their entire, like their commercial structure, like their business model was entirely laid on people. And so like they controlled lives, and my God, that gotta fuck you up.
Yeah. The only people who like really could get away with shit were like, D.W. Griffiths and, people like the Spielbergs of the day.
Yeah.
Like Alfred Hitchcock could be like, no, fuck you. But like everybody else had to kiss the ring.
Yeah.
And he loved it. He was a huge asshole.
Yeah. Back at the house, she drinks heavily, angry that she had to do the Hollywood shuffle while out for a night to celebrate with a new role.
Yeah.
She fights with Savitt, who kind of abandoned her to the mob of fans and left her high and dry when she got in the restaurant.
This is the only, I love this part because she's like, no, fuck you, man. I just want to go out to dinner with you, you piece of shit. You couldn't even back me for like 5 fucking seconds.
No, and then he turns it on her. And he's like, listen, baby, you got to face facts. You're getting old.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like he's the voice of reason. He's an asshole too.
Yeah, he's a total dick about it. Like, I mean,
he's like, well, you'd be a better mother if you weren't so chunky.
He throws an entire glass of vodka, like a
love it
to the rim glass of vodka on him.
I applaud her.
Yep. So yeah, there's not many of these roles left for her. As he says, they end up fighting vigorously. Savitt leaves her.
Meanwhile, her kid at some point, he enters the picture at some point. Looks like a tiny Andy Warhol.
Little Christopher Crawford.
Yeah, little Christopher Crawford just come in like he's got like a
in his harness.
little Andy Warhol wig. He's got his harness on.
Yeah. Yep.
Oof.
Dealing with a breakup like a normal person, Joan and Carol Ann happily cut Savitt's face out of the dozens of photos around the house, which is apparently something that she really did.
I mean, that's some serial killer shit, Joan. You gotta not do that.
Yep. And
Just get rid of the
and because
picture.
she's Joan Crawford, there's like 10,000 fucking photos of her in the sky.
That's also kind of weird.
Yeah. But
Like maybe you don't put pictures of yourself up everywhere. You know what you look like.
no, but she loves herself.
I don't think she did. Based on everything I know about women in the 40s, I don't think she did.
Elsewhere, Joan naps in her ridiculous face-lifting straps while the children play loudly out in the yard.
Oh, this is when he has his Andy Warhol wig.
Yep. Joan has a tantrum about them being loud. She reprimands Christina as she serves her coffee. Later, she watches Christina reprimand her dolls in the same way she treats her daughter, and, like a regular person, she throws on her dolls as punishment.
And this is how you know the story is so full of shit.
Okay.
Because
So
no person in their right fucking mind would be like, I'm taking all of your dolls because you did a thing that all children do.
Okay, so this scene was fabricated for the movie.
A lot of scenes are.
What Christina alleges in the book was she took her favorite dress and cut it to ribbons and then made her wear it for days as punishment.
Yeah, I bet that's also a fucking lie.
So later, Joan goes to MGM to meet with Louis Mayer, who cuts her loose from her contract with the studio.
This is the most heartbreaking scene in the whole fucking movie.
She fucking takes it in stride,
because
man.
this probably is true. And this fucking rat bastard won't even walk her to the car.
No. He just stares at her when she asks him.
Yeah, he's like, I won't.
Simple request. Yep. Citing a string of failures as the reason for losing it. She tearfully accepts it. This begins a 2-year dry spell for her that she eventually bounces back from with Mildred Pierce. But even though she's taken it in stride, studio, she goes home and loses her fucking mind.
Oh, no. Yep. Not the Rose Garden.
Yep. The scene that launched a podcast. By night, Joan chops up her own garden, having Carol Ann bring the kids down to help her fuck shit up. She struggles.
Hey, listen, Carol Ann, probably not a good idea to bring the children down when this woman is clearly having a nervous breakdown.
You could, up to a certain point, you could, like, when she goes like ballistic like this, you could sell this movie a little bit as a horror movie where like Carol Ann is kind of like her Igor.
This is the point where the movie turns, and like up to that, you're like, oh, well, I guess life in Hollywood is hard. And then all of a sudden, this Joan Crawford character becomes an absolute maniac.
Oh, yeah. And it's just going to escalate too.
Like this, she is out there in a fucking ball gown, and she is digging up the yard, looking insane.
Tina! Bring me the axe!
So Tina, of course, does what she's told. Joan goes house on that tree, crazed and bloody in a fancy dress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Later, Christina watches Joan and Carol Ann running lines. Carol Ann, a psychotic enabler, explains to Christina how important it is that she give her mother a ton of latitude to be an abusive, crazy person, which she readily agrees to. But at dinner, Christina is served a rare steak that she won't eat, and it results in a power struggle between the two of them lasting several days, in which food is withheld from Tina until she eats the steak.
Listen, two things. First, how is it that the girl playing Christina hasn't aged a day, and her brother has somehow aged 7 years?
There's going to be some incongruities later on also, as like Joan is supposedly aging. It's like Carol Ann is like all age makeup and she's just like glowing.
Yeah, it all defies the laws of physics. Second thing, I love that their lunch is a 4-course meal including a 10-ounce New York sirloin.
Yep. It looks delicious. I'd eat the hell out of that steak. God damn it, Christina.
I feel like we should pause and really appreciate Britannia Aldo's performance in this, because honestly, when everybody is at an 11, it's really hard to break through. And she gives this kind of like understated performance where she's just very quietly there in the background all the time. And you're like, oh yeah, it's that bitch.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah. She has this weird nervous energy throughout the entire thing. And the way that she
waiting for her to explode.
Yeah, the way that she is portrayed by Christina as like she was this like weird lesbian who like devoted herself to her mother in a relationship that was never reciprocated.
And I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like that's an attack on Britannia Alda, and I take it personally. I don't know why I feel even remotely defensive of this woman. I just think she's an okay actor, and I like her.
I think she's,
like her.
We know what it is. She's fucking great in this movie. She
really is
out of her fucking mind in Amityville too. But like, it's almost like she was like, when she went to that one, she's like, okay, I'm going to be Faye Dunaway in this movie.
She's just great. She's great. We all just take a page from the Alda playbook. Just hang back and just chill a little bit, right?
Yeah. She was also a method actress, and but she had she
yeah. Nobody says terrible things about her.
Nope, because you know why? Because she could turn it on and off when she needed to.
Yeah.
Christina eventually wins, having eaten nothing for an unspecified number of days. Now on Oscar night, Joan and Carol Ann listen to the results come in over the radio, over the wireless. And Joan wins Best Actress for her role in Mildred Pierce.
Have you seen it?
What was that?
Mildred Pierce?
Yeah.
Great movie.
It's a great movie.
Everybody, don't turn this podcast. You can leave it running and just listen to it again later. But go and watch Mildred Pierce.
Wonderful film. I mean, it's no wonder she won the fucking Oscar for it.
Yeah, she's great in it.
Yeah. They are greeted at the steps of the house by the adoring fans and press who just showed up at Joan's house in the middle of the fucking night. Yeah, Joan Crawford is back, baby.
Why didn't she go? She was sick.
I don't know.
She couldn't handle it. There's a story about why she didn't go. I can't remember what it was, but like she's probably just like, I can't do it.
I can't be seen right
now.
The
anxiety is too. Well, like, you also shouldn't be a parent. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things you shouldn't do that you've already done.
Maybe she was sick because she is dressed peculiarly in this scene.
I think she was sick, and that's why she doesn't go.
Yeah,
but. I think she's like the flu or something like that. But like, yeah, she goes outside and there's like, you know, like again, here's another example of this like crazy life where you're just like sitting at home, you know, watching TV or listening to the radio or, you know, doing whatever old timey shit you do. You just step outside your front door and there's like a fucking million people with cameras out there. Mm-hmm. Like, I just wanted to get the fucking mail.
Nope. No
like,
dice.
Imagine.
No dice. Later, Joan comes into the children's room with a face smeared over in cold cream.
She's so happy. She's cleaned her makeup off. She looks insane.
Yep. She enters Christina's closet, flips through the rows of expensive dresses. They're all conspicuously hung on padded hangers.
Beautiful.
Except for one.
Apparently, Joan Crawford's mother, or she was a dry cleaner. And this is like during a very like the worst time when she was growing up, and her mother like the thing about wire hangers was sort of true, where she was like, I don't want them in my house. They remind me of my mother, and I didn't like my mother very much. She was not very nice to me. Like, I don't think we should have them here. And her logic was, I have lots of money. I can afford wooden hangers. Let's just get some wooden hangers and I don't have to think about my fucking mom. So there was like a logic to it. So this did not happen. Like, even Christina Crawford has said this did not happen.
So the hanger scene as portrayed in the movie did not. Completely made up. However, the scene, there is a part in the book about this where she just like lost her fucking mind over this one wire hanger.
And even that probably didn't happen. She's probably like, I just don't like them. I make a lot of money. We should have nice things. And apparently wire hangers are not nice things. I personally buy all of my wire hangers at Target.
Now take that, like what you just explained, the story of Joan Crawford, wire hangers and her mom. Now crank that up about a million degrees.
Well, if I wanted to make someone look really crazy, here's what I would do. I would cover their face in cold cream so they look like a lunatic kabuki actor.
Because she's got the lipstick on still.
Yeah, she looks absolutely like I don't like King Lear madness is just what this is. Like, she is just just insane from the jump. She looks wild-eyed, like a ghost.
Yeah. And that had to be by design.
Oh, and I think that's one of the more offensive parts is like, you didn't just shoot this scene that you lied about. You made her look extra crazy while you did it.
Yeah.
And because Faye Dunaway is Faye Dunaway, she gets to that dress. She's like, oh, beautiful dresses. I love beautiful dresses. Oh, I paid so much for these beautiful dresses. What is this? And she loses her goddamn mind.
Yep.
No wire hangers! What's wire hangers doing in this closet when I told you no wire hangers ever?
Flagship moment here. It's the one everybody knows. She looks fucking insane. She tears the room apart, beating Tina with the hanger, dragging her into the bathroom, insisting that it's filthy, flinging Comet floor cleaner.
Yeah, it's like the end of Scarface at this point.
All over the place, looking like a monster from a horror movie. And when the tantrum is over, Christina tearfully utters, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
The most affecting moment in the movie for me. I love it. It's my favorite
except
part.
She still has that Washingtonian hair. It's just insane.
We cannot possibly overstate how like through the fucking roof this scene is. She is flinging herself. And they had to shoot this scene like several times.
Wildly cross-eyed at one point.
Yeah, when she finally sort of like gets herself under control.
She looks a little Martin Shortish when she does it too.
And she says, it's like, please, Mommie Dearest. She goes, when you call me that, I wanted you to be it. And she stands up and she turns around, but as she's turning, her fucking eyes are like, one eye is just a little cockeyed. It's such a fucking perfect moment.
Bizarre. And in that moment, everybody on that set should have been like, all right, no, enough of this.
We're
this
done
is
here.
not, I've never even met Joan Crawford, and I know she was not this way. Why did nobody intervene?
I know.
In the slander of this perfectly normal woman. All right, maybe not perfectly normal, mostly normal woman.
Yeah. To contrast this nightmare, Joan and the children are joined by a radio crew on Christmas for a publicity puff piece to show how wonderful their life is.
And so this is actually, what's this fucking guy's name? Because this is the only cameo we get.
Oh, shit. I can't.
He was a radio guy. I can't remember his name. But this speaks to the way that they talk about adoption in this movie. And maybe this is the way that they used to. I don't know much about adoption, but like maybe this is the way.
Oh, right, because he uses a weird word to describe them.
It's the way they talk about it throughout the whole movie, and it's like it's some weird Dickensian altruism to adopt children. Like
he says,
these poor homeless children,
two orphaned children, or something like that, right?
You may as well call them urchins. Like, I don't understand. Why are you like?
She
wanted
personally
children.
rescued them from chimneys in which they lived.
Seriously, it was this or the boxcars. And if you ask Christina Crawford, maybe the boxcars were preferable.
Riding the rails.
Like the way that they talk about this throughout the whole thing, she's just like, these poor children. And like, yeah, kids that are in foster care or kids that need adoption, they're statistically, maybe their lives are not going to be as great as other children's will. But like the way they talk about it is like, is that like, well, I guess I can go out and adopt some children today. Like, you wanted kids. Here are some kids that need wanting.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
But like the way they talk about it is like, this woman has gone out and done a hero's work today. She adopted some poor lowly urchins. It's just really bizarre to hear them talk about it like that.
Yeah. When he said that, I was like, wait a second, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? But yeah. So yeah, sometime later, one of Joan's new guys, Ted Gelber, shows up.
Oh, I don't like this. I don't like any of this scene.
Christina pours him a huge glass of scotch, calls him uncle.
Yeah.
Because apparently,
easy on the scotch, Christina.
Holy shit, can she pour a beverage or what?
She's like your favorite bartender, except she's tan and looks like George Washington.
Yeah.
And has sort of a surly demeanor.
Yeah.
Well, some of my favorite bartenders are surly. They didn't look like George Washington.
No. So she takes him up to Joan's room to kick it, hand off a new script. As they're knocking boots, Christina pours another drink, brings it up to Joan, interrupting the boots knocking, which prompts Joan to enroll her in a boarding school.
Oh, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the way that she talks to Joan's boyfriend. I don't like the way that she shows up with the drink. I don't like the way that she sort of looks back and lingers and she's leaving the room. I hate everything about this. It is so voyeuristic and creepy. And I know what they're implying with this scene. The implication is like, oh, she's getting older. She's going to be competition now.
Yeah.
But it is so fucking gross.
Oh, right. Because it's just this little girl with a glass of scotch.
I hate it.
So, Christina, she isn't having it. The headmistress, Dr. Sims from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, assures her it'll be all right.
Yep. She's in something else I watched recently, too. I think she was in Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
Yes, she was, as a matter of fact. Because when I saw her, I was like, that woman is so fucking familiar to me. And I had to look her up. And I saw on her thing that she was in Looking for Mr. Goodbar, but she was also in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, which is where I know
That's the one that, like, I recognized her from this because I just watched this, but also I would have recognized her immediately from she's the bitchy doctor in Nightmare 3.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the moment where I kind of check out.
Because we're slingshotted into the future.
Right. We go forward.
Tina has traded in her George Washington do for a nice Harpo Marx.
She got them short curls.
Mm-hmm.
So now we cut to Christina in acting class at boarding school. This is actress Diana Scarwood who takes over. She does a monologue from Antigone, and one of the dudes is really into it.
I believe it's Antigone.
It's Antigone.
I think they say it wrong.
Okay.
I think it is Antigone, isn't it?
I don't know. When I read it in high school, the teacher called it Antigone, so I always called it Antigone.
Fucking America.
Yep. Christina has dinner out with Joan on a weekend away from school. Their relation is strained, but mostly amicable. Joan gives her a hard time about flirting with the waiter, which she definitely did not do.
Nope. She just wanted to order a fucking salad.
Wanted a whatever kind of salad that was. Lobster salad.
Right. Oh,
I don't know. Joan intimates that things aren't going well financially in spite of the luxurious dress and fancy jewelry on her.
Which again, this probably is more like what actually happened. Like she was probably a little asshole-ish about like, well, I pay for your boarding school, and now as a result, I can't do my morning vodka ice ritual.
Right. At home, Tina does laundry. Joan sits her down to deliver the bad news. Times are tough. The roles aren't coming in like they used to, and money is tight because she lost her contract with Warner Brothers. She breaks down tearfully and explains that she's negotiated some kind of scholarship where Tina will have to work to pay her tuition at boarding school.
And Tina's got gasp?
Yeah.
Work?
I know.
Me? Christina Crawford?
Yep.
Of the Hollywood Crawfords?
Unbelievable. This is unfucking real, mother. Mommy Dearest.
Yeah.
So Tina assures her that they'll figure it out. It's all good. Don't worry about it. She is a fucking saint, you see. So later on, Christina finds Joan passed out drunk in the wardrobe, surrounded by boxes and bags from luxury clothing shops. Christina is less than happy about seeing these things after receiving the bad news about the Warner Brothers contract.
No, get a fucking job, Christina. How about that?
Well, she's got a job.
Fucking help.
She's got a job now. She's got to fucking scrub floors and like tend to the stables or whatever.
Then maybe Joan Crawford can spend her money however the fuck she wants.
Back at school, Christina and the boy from the acting class flirt at the stables. Eventually,
but they also have to help Joan to bed. And this is where Carol Ann is just basically like, hey, Christina, hey, get your fucking head out of your ass and help me.
Yeah.
Help me lift your drunk mother.
Because at first she's like, oh my God, Carol Ann, she's dead. She's like, oh no, she's just drunk. Because in the 50s, like Joan did develop a pretty significant like alcoholism problem.
I mean, it's the 50s.
I mean, with a daughter like this, you would too.
Yeah. I had a very significant drinking problem, and I don't have a daughter like her. It would have been twice as bad if I did.
Yeah. So back at school, Christina and the boy from the acting class flirt at the stables, eventually meeting up and fooling around in the stables. They're caught by the jealous girl from the acting class who rats them out to the headmistress.
And my note says, great, now they're going to have to kill Vera.
Joan, of course, is called in and is, surprise, enraged and exhibiting an oversized reaction.
Is this an institution of learning or a teenage brothel?
Chadwick has an impeccable reputation. So, humiliated, Joan takes her out of boarding school.
Having a little drink on the way home.
Right.
Drinking and driving the Joan Crawford way.
When they get home, there's a reporter from Red Book doing a story on Joan. Before they go in, she warns Christina not to start any shit. When they get in, Joan is all smiles. The conversation is all good until Joan angrily intercepts their chatter, telling the reporter...
Jocelyn Brando, portrayed by Jocelyn Brando.
Telling the reporter that Christine was expelled from school, which she was not. They take the conversation to a side room and argue. Joan slaps Christina a couple of times. Christina...
Please, Barbara, please! My upstairs neighbors are probably really unhappy with me right now.
No, they're going, oh, they're watching Mommie Dearest.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. Wouldn't have known until the Barbara please line.
Right. So Christina suggests that Joan only adopted her as a publicity stunt, and it escalates to Joan leaping on Christina, choking the shit out of her while Carolina and the reporter try to pull her off.
Absolutely insane. So this is the moment where she elbowed Britannia Alda really hard in the chest. And this is where Jocelyn Brando, sister of Marlon Brando, was like, he was like, get in there. You're supposed to help her pull. And she was like, I'm not getting in there. She's fucking wild. She's going to hit me too.
He's like, it's like a fight, like a cat fight from a soap opera. They like crash through furniture. She's on top of her, like choking and slamming her head on the floor. The ladies come and grab her, and she throws them off and like throws her fists at the sky and is like, ah.
And the thing about this is that if any of this happened, this is all happening in front of people. You should be able to be like, hey, Barbara from Red Book, who is a real person?
Yeah.
Like they could have just been like, did this really happen? She would have been like, no, this didn't. Like they were like maybe a little shitty to each other while I was there, but this didn't happen. Like there were so many people, all these claims supposedly of all this stuff happened in front of other people. Even her brother was like, no, this is not really how it happened. Like she was a little bit not nice to us by our standards, but like everybody was just like, no, this shit never happened. Like we were around her all the time. This never happened. So the fact that they would even publish this book is really unethical.
Yeah.
It's slanderous and terrible.
Yeah. In that Phil Donahue segment that I was talking about earlier, he's like, have you read the book? And she's like, no. I've read excerpts in the Inquirer. And I was like, oh shit, there it is.
And I hope Phil Donahue was like, get out of my house.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Also, when asked about this, I guess she mentions it very briefly in one of her autobiography. Dunaway said that she got carried away because she was possessed by the spirit of Joan Crawford.
Yeah. Okay. She's out of control. Is what she was. And the fact that she never thought to like apologize to any of these people, I think that's the thing that's probably more offensive is that we're like,
oh, no.
Okay, cool. You're a method actor.
They should be thanking her.
Yeah,
for this.
You got elbowed by Faye Dunaway. You know how many people would pay for that?
She just put on a clinic in method acting and you're going to fucking criticize that?
Get out of here. Meisner himself would have appreciated this.
Joan's solution to Christine's rebellion is to enter her into a strict Catholic boarding school for girls.
Love it. Because she's a slut, you see.
That's right. Meanwhile, Joan marries Alfred Steele, an executive for PepsiCo, and their relationship seems real and lasting.
Now, I have always felt this way about this. So apparently Alfred Steele was like a really, really nice guy. And their relationship was like super good. Like he was really in love with her. And
according to even by the sort of the letter of the book, like his relationship with Christine was pretty good.
Yeah,
like this was a stable.
Crawford acknowledges that he was a good person.
Yeah,
and yet the movie treats him almost like a little bit like he's a joke.
I don't see, because here's the thing: is I believe they were married for like 4 or 5 years, and he is in the movie He says, "Hey, this apartment is kind of expensive. Pull it back, Pally." And then he's fucking dead.
Yeah, like he comes across as very like, I don't know, Joan. I don't know if we should do that. And she's like, shut up, homo. And like, but like that's not even how she is in the movie. But that's the vibe they give. Is like that he is just sort of this like nebbish little guy that was like, and he was not. He was like a super nice guy. He like treated all of the kids like they were his own children. He like adored Joan and like was a really successful guy. Like just one of the rare nice people that shows up in her life in a lifetime of like real shitty men. And they give him such short shrift in this that it's like a little offensive to me that it's like, you had one nice guy.
Yeah.
He should, of anybody in this fucking movie, he should be lionized as a good person. And they just make him look like such a fucking nerd.
I know.
And that bothers me for some reason.
Even I was like fascinated by this. I was like, who the fuck was this guy? So I looked him up and I was like, all right, he seemed like an all right dude. And like, I mean, but the thing that they don't really mention is that after Joan died, like she was buried with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she also he was like the one guy she really loved. Because everyone else she had married was like a marriage of some weird convenience or orchestration.
Yeah.
And this is like the one guy who was like, I married this guy because I loved him.
Right. And the way that the movie presents him as he's just another one of Joan's guys.
Yeah.
Who also she really kind of bullied and pushed around.
And I hate that. Like it really bugs me. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I fucking hate that they do this to this relationship.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And it also sucks when she's like, well, what do I call him? And she's like, he's your father. And she goes over and she's like, hello, daddy. And I'm like, oh God, don't do that. Yep. I don't like that.
Yep. So,
maybe just call him Arthur.
Right. So,
or Alfred, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Alfred. So apparently nothing interesting happens to Christina at the convent because we cut to her being released back into the wild almost immediately after she's admitted to the school.
Yeah, the back end of this movie is really boring.
The thing is from here on out, like from the moment that she's a teenager and in this Chadwick school to the end of the movie is almost like a clips show because it's just like a series of just like short vignettes of them sort of like struggling a little bit as mother and daughter.
It's like 3 forgettable episodes of Taxi. It's like it pumps the brakes real hard. And you're like, oh, it turns out that Joan Crawford's not that entertaining when she's not melting down.
Right. And the thing is my favorite part about this is the way that Christina is portrayed coming out of the school is she is a quiet, humble young woman.
You know what she wasn't? A quiet, humble young woman.
She returns home to the Crawford estate and is introduced to Alfred for the first time as Joan negotiates.
Hello, Daddy.
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you. No, thanks.
So gross. If anyone ever said that to me, I don't care the context. So really get out of here right now.
Joan is negotiating the sale of her mansion, planning to move to New York with Alfred. So now in New York, Joan and family oversee the construction of a Fifth Avenue apartment that is outspending their finances. Christina has also moved to New York, where she's beginning to audition for parts and has landed some small roles. She's low on...
Listen, Joan in the 60s. Is it a wig? Yes, and it looks ridiculous.
Every single one of them's a wig.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
She's low on cash. She asks Joan for money, which she refuses. On the sly, Alfred slips her some cash to help her out.
Because he's a decent guy.
Yep, he's a good guy. Their relationship is a little bit more explicit in the book. Seems like she and Alfred got along very well, as I said. Joan, meanwhile, insists that only the best shit in the world is good enough for this apartment. Alfred goes back to Pepsi, borrows against his salary, and shares to afford the extravagant pad that she's building.
This is why capitalism is bad, everybody.
Yeah, and her whole thing is like, people expect us to live a certain way. So
and again, this was probably true. Like, this is the life that she is someone who, from the time she was, 20 years old, she was a Hollywood star. And everything that was drilled into her was, you have to keep up appearances or else. So yeah, when she's fucking 65 and she's living in New York with this dude, she's probably like, she's still operating on that mindset. You don't lose that shit and put it behind you just because you've moved on to something else.
No. I mean, would you imagine if the fucking, like, the public reaction would be if it turned out like she was living like Lenny in The Simpsons in that part when his house like falls apart and he's like, don't tell anyone how I live.
Because look what happens every time people do try to do shit like that. And they're like, you know what, I'm going to step back. I'm going to buy some fucking house in New Jersey or whatever. And I'm just going to go live there. And it's like, oh, well, she's obviously slumming it. What is she, a junkie now?
Yeah.
Like, you can't fucking win with the public. You can't win. And she's got this burned into her head that like, this is the way the world is, because that is the way the world is, because the world's terrible. Like, I don't know. Again, I'm very anti Christina Crawford.
Apparently.
I think Joan is just sort of like, it's not great the way that she is, but it's also not her fault. It doesn't make it better, but it's like she didn't have the resources to change.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. It sucks.
No good. It's no good. Unfortunately, 4 years later, Alfred dies of a heart attack, leaving Joan with his shares in Pepsi, as well as the debt accrued over the construction of the apartment. The board offers their condolences, tries to push her out, but she pushes back and bullies them into submission. Also, one of my favorite scenes.
Don't fuck with me, fellas! This ain't my first time at the rodeo.
So, Christina, meanwhile, is living a Spartan existence in New York, contrasted against the opulence of her mother's lifestyle. Joan comes to visit her at her apartment, where they seem to be getting along. Tina is up for a part in a soap opera, and Joan gifts her a pearl necklace that was given to her by Alfred.
I do love that she's just kind of like, this is nice. Should I sit down?
Is this what we do? Is this how we do it?
Is this unwise? Maybe I'll just stand. I'll stand.
Yeah, the backlot. This is some of my favorite shit. The backlot set for the street scene outside Laverne and Shirley's exterior.
Well, it's gonna get better.
Yep. Back in Hollywood, Joan has Carol Ann turn on the TV so they can watch Tina on her soap. Carol Ann
For God's sake, the way that they have done Britannia Alda dirty in this with this old age makeup, she looks like a dummy from Disney's Hall of Presidents.
Yeah, she's straight standing there like looking like Donald Trump in the Hall of Presidents.
Looks so bad. And they really, I mean, they didn't do much better on Faye Dunaway, but like Carol Ann looks rough.
I know. And the reason that
she's like cell shaded.
Yeah, the reason that God, yeah, she looks like a character from fucking Borderlands.
She does. I hate it.
Yeah, the reason that Faye Dunaway is not aged in this scene in the same way that she is because she refused to sit in the makeup chair.
Well,
yep.
Great.
Yep.
Great. Why is she in movies?
Because she gets to call her own shots. So yeah, there's also the set that they're shooting the soap on. It's the Cunningham set from Happy Days.
Yep, Happy Days. I recognize the kitchen immediately.
Yep. At home in New York, Christina eats alone, experiences some pain in her abdomen. She calls Joan for help. In the hospital, we learn that she's a benign ovarian tumor that needs to be removed, but it'll take her out of the rotation at the soap. So Joan steps in to help her by taking her role on the show.
We learn this from Belinda Rosenberg, who is played by Mr. Twinkassetti's wife from Perfect Strangers. You might remember her from every television sitcom in the 80s. You recognize her at all?
I did not.
I think she was on, so she was Mr. Twicassetti's wife.
I cannot remember the last time I watched Perfect Strangers.
I think it's Mom's favorite show.
It absolutely is Mom's favorite show.
I think she was on Who's the Boss as well.
Okay.
I think she might have been on that.
Also a show I haven't watched in a while.
The real story is, so the way that that Christina portrays this in
the book, because here's the thing is this story, this does not come across in the movie at all. This actually looks like Joan Crawford doing a good thing.
Right. Which is what actually happened. But in the book, she makes it seem like Joan Crawford stepped in and was like, I'm going to steal this bitch's role on this piece of shit fucking daytime soap or whatever.
Yep.
And in truth, she learned that if Christina could not come back, so they asked, CBS was like, will you step in and play this role? If you can't do that, if you won't do that, we have to recast this role because this is a soap opera we shoot every fucking day. We can't be like, it's, you know, if you've ever watched a soap opera for a long enough time, you realize they drop characters in and out. Like people step in when someone's sick. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, that's not the same person. Doesn't fucking matter.
Doesn't matter. The show must go on. Yeah.
But if it's going to be like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, then they're just going to recast you because it's a soap opera and it doesn't matter.
Right.
And so
Joan
was like, all right,
Joan was on the show for 4 episodes.
Yeah. She was like, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to do this so she doesn't lose her job. Except that's not the way Christina makes it look.
Yeah.
Why? Because she sucks.
Yeah.
It's a fucking ingrate.
I know. Tina turns on the TV in her hospital room to see her mom performing in her place. It's wild that this worked at all. It's fucking crazy.
It's insane. She's 40 years older than her. She's just like, say, young buck, why don't we run off together?
Yeah, I believe she was like 68 years old at the time, and she's playing a 28-year-old on the TV show. Again, she looks like Louise Lasser in fucking Blood Rage.
It is uncanny.
So
I don't like it.
So yeah, they're doing the thing. Joan struggles with reading the cue cards they have set up for her. Their performance is awkward and incredibly weird.
They leave Trog out completely, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Even they wouldn't slum it like that.
At home, Carol Ann delivers a dress for Christina, who will be presenting a Lifetime Achievement Award for her mother that very evening.
And my note says, oh, come on. Britannia Alda looks like Ed Grimley at this point. I must say.
She looks like somebody playing Ebenezer Scrooge in like a local production of a fucking Christmas Carol.
It's so offensive. This poor woman.
Because the thing is like, she's always kind of played like that, but she's a very attractive woman.
Yeah.
So Carol Ann is characteristically nervous and awkward. Joan, living on a mattress on the floor in a mostly empty room, is aged and unwell. Watches tearfully as Christina delivers a speech in earnest about how much she loves her mother, addressing the camera directly. It's the end of
Rent. She's just like reaching out to the TV screen.
So
in reality, around this point, Joan was just like, these fucking kids, I do so much. This one's spitting in my face and calling me a whore. This one, I think, is writing a book about me saying a lot of nasty shit that didn't happen.
Right. So at Joan's funeral, Christina, because that is the thing, is by the time, like, when Joan heard about this, like, it had gone around, because, like, Christina was, like, an actress and shit. And so, like, people were talking and eventually just got back to her mother. It was like, hey, you know your daughter's writing, like, a fucking hit piece book about you, right?
She was like, I knew it. I knew it. She said the recorder wasn't on, but I knew
it. So at Joan's funeral, Christina tearfully says her goodbyes and reunites with her brother. Christopher, who has been absent from the movie since the moment Christina was sent to boarding school, also played
because of the cocaine.
Yeah, played by Xander Berkeley, I believe, in his first role. She introduces him to her husband, David, who has an actual producer credit on the movie, like we said. Carol Ann, beside herself, tries to assure Christina that Joan truly, truly loved her. She says, I have to believe that that's true.
And then she gets cut out of the will.
Yeah, so now at the reading of the will, the lawyer informs Christina and Christopher that Joan is leaving them nothing for reasons well known to them.
And that is a direct,
that is the actual quote.
It's like, I said it. I'm not going to say it again.
No, the one true thing in this book. Christina laughs. Christopher says, as usual, she has the last word. Christina replies, does she? Fade to black, roll credits, baby.
Boo, Christina Crawford, boo.
So, yeah.
It should be said that is actually Christina Crawford's second husband. Her first husband was like, yeah, I met Joan Crawford a bunch of times. She was super nice to me, and none of this shit ever happened.
Yeah. That's the thing about this is the most fascinating, because like I'll be real with you. I think the movie's okay. I love the very beginning, all the sort of big high acting moments. I think the melodrama is ridiculous and incredibly fucking funny. I think the rest of the movie is really fucking hard to watch, and it's just kind of boring. The adult Christina stuff is just so fucking tedious. But
yeah, look, I'm a gay man of a certain age. I love the first 2/3 of this movie.
Yeah.
The last third, I'm like, oh, God, come on. Yeah, I don't care about any of this. She looks like Harpo Marx. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and the shit that is most interesting to me about this is, like, what is true and what is not, because, like, there's a true story here. I believe that fucking Christina Crawford very sincerely believed that she was, like, a horribly abused child simply because she just, like, didn't have the life that she sort of felt like she deserved.
People with borderline personality disorder also think that. It doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you should give them a fucking book contract because you want to sell a bunch of books based on lies.
Yeah. And she got
the real villain of the piece is fucking St. Martin's Press or whoever. Here I am slandering St. Martin's.
Doubleday. But yeah, it's, to me, I think that, like, there are some really fucking just outrageous, super fucking funny moments in this. It is so quotable. Despite the fact that she's a goddamn narcissist and a nightmare, Faye Dunaway is incredible in this movie.
It is it is unlike anything anyone has ever seen. She's a whirling dervish of an actor.
Yeah, right. Like she is the fucking the Tasmanian devil. Like even when she is like flying off the handle and just like, you know, screaming with a fucking face covered in cold cream, like she's extremely compelling.
You can't
to
look
watch.
away.
You cannot
look away from her.
It is a truly career defining performance. But yeah, it's unfortunately for me, it is a series of like moments. It's almost like a mediocre band putting out a record with a few good songs on it.
Mm-hmm. Or like the time I saw the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, and I was like, okay, this is real dumb. And then I saw them, and I was like, holy shit, they're really good.
Yeah, it's like seeing the Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
Yeah, like wow.
No, I'll tell you what. I've definitely got that. I saw Insane Clown Posse once, and I had the same fucking reaction.
Okay, I don't know what to do with that.
Yep.
I gotta go. I don't know. I mean, this movie is such an exploitation movie. They knew it. Everybody fucking knew it. It's the kind of thing where, you know, when you print an article that was like vaccines cause autism, and then everybody comes around and they're like, hey, no, that's not true. You have to correct that. And then they print a retraction that's like, so it turns out vaccines don't cause autism, but nobody hears the retraction. So all of a sudden, Joan Crawford's a terrible person. And I think the biggest shame is that, like, yeah, this movie's campy as hell. It's funny. But the reality is, like, it trashed this woman's reputation. And she didn't deserve that.
In a lasting way.
Person.
Like, that's the most important, the most amazing thing. Like, that's the part that I find most amazing is that this movie went into production anyway, because, like, there was a human cost to fucking making this movie.
Everybody hears the lie. Very, very few people hear the retraction. And that's the shame of the movie. So as much as I love this performance of hers, I love like I said, I'm a gay man at a certain age. I find this shit really funny, but there is a cost, and I hate the cost because, like, by all accounts, okay, by most accounts, she was a pretty decent person who tried her best, and like she left most of her money to like charities, and she left little amounts to people where she was like that person who was like the boom operator. They're never going to have money to like take care of themselves in old age. They've given their whole lives to the studio who fucked them over in the end. She's like, I'm just going to leave them some money. They have something like that's the kind of shit she did. This is her legacy. And it's like, you made this woman look like a monster just because you're pissed that she didn't leave you some fucking money.
Yeah. Because because here's the thing is ultimately when the inheritance shook out, Cindy and Kathy, I believe, are the other two girls, the twins. They inherited, I believe, a total of $80,000.
Yeah, not much.
Not a lot.
I mean, it's a lot, but like it's not relative to what a lot of people make now. That's not.
Yeah, but also Joan Crawford's estate wasn't much more than like $1 million. No.
But I think it highlights sort of like why one of the reasons why this show is that behind all this shit there are real stories, and it's like that's the shit that's really interesting. Sometimes these movies are dumb as hell, but there's really interesting human stories behind it all, and like most people don't bother to look at those stories. Like, yeah, someone made a dumbass movie like Delivery Boys. Now, this is a bad example because he was not a good person.
No, but that was the interesting part to me was what a weird background that movie has.
Learn about these people because the movies themselves are dumb bullshit, but the stories behind it, like you find, it's the same reason I love shit like, Don't Panic and these movies where like you realize like, yeah, these movies are goofy and they're cheap looking, but they're made by people who love the genre, and they're made with so much heart that like once you learn about that, you look at everything in a totally different way. And that's what I struggle with this movie is like, it's hard to watch this movie because like you're watching a woman's legacy be torn apart when she was a pretty good person.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah. And then when the movie, when that sort of intention didn't land the way the studio was intending it to, they tried to turn it into the fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know, again, I come from a culture that finds that shit funny, but also like it does still sort of suck because What we all remember is not Joan Crawford leaving little bits of money to people who will never have enough to pay for their burial. What we remember is no wire hangers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a shame. So
yeah, I think that's a pretty
dig deeper, y'all.
I think it's a pretty good note to end on.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do we got? What do we got next?
Well, the holidays are behind us, and I, for one, say good fucking riddance. That's the last time I do a themed anything. Well, next week, we're back. Bring me the axe. We're going to Canada for one of my favorite ghost stories, Changeling. George C. Scott.
George C. Scott.
Old as hell. Fathering a small child who gets hit by a truck in a very jarring vehicular scene. And then 99-cent rental will be back 2 weeks with Manam Golan's completely insane interpretation of what the youths thought were cool in 1980 in the Apple.
Oh, God, that is going to be crazy. Ultimate sci-fi disco epic that just splattered upon landing.
I have not seen that movie in a very long time. I remember it being nonsensically weird.
I watched it last year. I had to watch it in 2 sittings. It's not even like 90 minutes. So get ready.
Well, I'm real jazzed for that one. Can't wait.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking with us for a whole year. You know, we're going to do another year of it with a lot of fun shit. We'll be back. We'll be back in a week with the Changeling on Bring Me the Axe. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back with the Apple. Get ready.